A lot more jolly at Wolves this Christmas than maybe it might have been after a 3-0 victory away at Leicester on their opening game for Vitor Pereira. And let's ask the question, is he going to succeed where others haven't? Is he going to be able to try and drag them away from the relegation zone? One of Gary O'Neill's final acts at Wolves' boss was to strip Mario Lemina of the captaincy after that debacle at the end of the West Ham game. He handed it to Nelson Semedo, who's had a good campaign at right back. He's now in his 5th season at Molineux. He's spoken exclusively to our reporter Ollie Klink about Sunday's 3-0 win at Leicester.
It was really important, a very good win, a very good team performance as well, and it was important for us to start well, and we did it. We've been working for like 3 days only with this manager, but we already have an identity to play. I think we still have to improve a lot on that, but it was the perfect way to start with a 3-0.
When the new manager arrived, Vitor Pereira, was identity a big part of the first message that he gave to you as a squad?
He wants us to have an identity to play. He wants us to be us playing, like to play in this way. And like I told you, we've been working this for the last 3 days, and we'll keep working on that because, like I told you, we still have to improve on that. We can do even better. We are really enjoying, to be honest.
I want to talk to you about captaincy because you were given the armband right at the end of Gary O'Neill's time at the club. Your new manager has said it's something he wants to have a think about. Have you had that conversation with him at all yet?
No, I didn't have it yet, but I think we're gonna have it soon. And whatever he decides, I'm good with that because I'm gonna be the same person, the same guy that will push for my teammates, the same guy that will give everything on a pitch, the same guy that gonna give everything on the trainings as well. So I think having the armband, to me, obviously, I like that, but it won't change anything on me.
I listened to the raw cut of this interview, and it was really interesting listening to him speak about the approach of the new manager and the idea of attacking rather than defending. Is that the right approach, bearing in mind the biggest issue they've got is keeping clean sheets and keeping the ball out of the back of the net? Because goal scoring's never really been an issue for them.
Yeah, and look, he's someone he's had a lot of success in the past, but it's been a long time ago. And obviously he's never actually managed in the Premier League, and I think in Europe just once in the last 7 years. I know. I mean, I think it's about balance. Everything's about balance. We heard Sean Dyche post the Chelsea game saying, look, I want to be creating chances and scoring goals, but it's so difficult to try and get the balance between defence and attack. And Everton's one way and Wolves are completely the other. But that was a big win for them against Leicester. I mean, that was massive. For me, you can look at the table, you can say that, maybe as far as up as West Ham and maybe even further, they're not out of it, and mathematically they're not, but it's 3 or 4. In my opinion.
You can't overreact to that opening game against Leicester, can you? Because with all due respect, it is the perfect game for a new manager to come into. A team that were struggling to keep clean sheets themselves. We know that Wolverhampton Wanderers score goals. There were individual errors from the Leicester players, no doubt. But I think to judge him on 90 minutes, to think that it's all going to be okay now, it's not the first time they've won this season. They went and did that to Fulham not so long ago under Gary O'Neill.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we know we've seen it before. We talk about the new manager bounce. Some get it, some don't. This is one game in. But I have to say, Sam, this was a big game. This was your proverbial 6-pointer already. Yeah. Absolutely. To go to Leicester and not just come away with 3 points and therefore obviously make sure that the team that's down there as well, they're up against a relegation candidate, doesn't get any points. But the psychological blow where the game was done by half-time. Again, I go back to psychology and the players of Leicester now, they've got to somehow find a way to pick themselves up. Whereas with Wolves, suddenly now, games that look difficult looked much more winnable. I wouldn't say they look winnable, but they don't look as scary as they were before. So, look, it was a brilliant start for him. He didn't really seem to change too much. It was the same system, sort of same group of players. Matheus Cunha, when he gets banned, and it is a when, not an if, I think it was really important that he was able to play in that game. But when they do lose him, he's a big blow because, yes, they score goals, but do they score goals when he's not in the side?
Well, that's a big question because if you look at the Opta supercomputer that tells you that Southampton have got a 97.8% chance of relegation. They tell you that Wolverhampton Wanderers' chances of relegation are 52.4%. It means, it's pretty flip of a coin stuff, really, for Wolves this season. So they've got to get it right. They can't afford a massive dip. There will be ups and downs because the squad isn't good enough to compete any higher up than it is at the moment, because they have sold a lot of players and not brought in the requisite experience. It's a light squad. However, they need to be focused in trying to add players in the January transfer window and then going on a successful run, because otherwise they will get dragged in. But Wolves have had a habit of turning things around before. Under Julian Lopetegui, actually, they were bottom on Christmas Day in 2022, and they ended up finishing 13th as a result of that. But it's bad news for Southampton. And I do think maybe we're playing now for just 2 places in that relegation zone, because in the last 19 seasons, only 3 teams who were bottom at Christmas survived, and they don't survive with this number of points. So Southampton, they're going to have to pull off an absolute miracle if they're going to stay up. So really and truly, Wolves are fighting against Leicester and Ipswich to be the one team that gets out of that. That's how it looks like to me. Can you offer anything different?
No, I'm totally agree with you. I said before, I think Southampton are down, and obviously they can't have that mentality, but I think they're down. And then I just said, 3 from 4, so you can say 2 from 3. And that's why I think that was an absolutely crucial win. And it's interesting sort of listening to the tactics or what we're hearing about wanting to be a bit more attacking. I'm not sure if they're actually coming from him or the players, but I go back to, and it's a long time ago, to be fair, he was AVB's number 2, of course, and AVB, he's now the Porto president, and we know with Chelsea and Spurs, but obviously worked under Jose Mourinho. So there's almost a line of people who have worked with Jose Mourinho in a way, same way of Pep Guardiola, and gone on and done pretty well. But where AVB was, once he took over Pereira was more of a defensive coach than AVB was. So I think he's got it in his locker to shore Wolves up while still trying to get the goals. And if you look at the players they've got and the balance of the squad, I think what you always normally struggle with is the opening up of defences and scoring goals. The Wolves don't seem to have that problem. So from defensively, don't forget, they've been hit by 5s and 6s already this season. And that's why they've got the worst defence statistically in the Premier League. But if he can just make them just a little bit more difficult to break down, which I think he can, then at this moment in time, my prediction would be that Wolves can survive.
Live commentary, Wolves, Manchester United, live in the Premier League. It's on talkSPORT with Scott Minto and Joe Shannon on Boxing Day.
Jim White and Simon Jordan. Monday to Friday mornings from 10 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.